Okay, so there is an absolute tidal wave of cash flooding into water tech right now. But what's the real story here? Is this a sustainable boom? The kind that's going to fuel the next big thing in innovation? Or is it a high-risk bubble that's just about to burst? That's the billion-dollar mystery we're going to try and solve. Let's dive in.
Let's just start with the headline number, $1.12 billion. For the very first time, we've seen annual investment in water tech just completely blow past that billion-dollar mark. And that's just in 2024. I mean, that is a staggering figure, and we've got to take a closer look.
So, to figure out if we're looking at a bubble, the first thing we have to do is follow the money. Let's try and get our heads around the sheer scale of this investment wave.
All right, check this out. It's not just about the total amount. The key here is the acceleration. Look, in 2021, we were at $756 million. By 2023, a new record, $861 million. Pretty good, right? But then 2024 comes along, and it doesn't just break the record. It completely shatters it.
And here's what makes this moment so unique. That's a 29% jump in just 1 year. Now, think about this. That happened while the rest of the venture capital world was actually pulling back, getting more cautious. So water tech isn't just growing, it is bucking the trend in a huge way.
So who's writing all these checks? I mean, who are these people? Well, when you dig in, it turns out the investors really fall into two very different camps, and each one has a totally unique strategy for, well, navigating these waters.
Okay, first up, you've got the specialists. These are the folks who live and breathe water. It's all they do. You've got firms like Burnt Island Ventures. Get this, 26 deals since 2018. That's incredible. They know this sector inside and out, and they're making a ton of really strategic bets all across the industry. And then you have the heavy hitters. These are a different breed. They're usually bigger, generalist funds, right? They don't specialize in water, but when they spot an opportunity they like, they go big. We are talking massive, game-changing checks, like that $225 million round for Gradient. Just one deal, but a massive impact.
Okay, but all this money, all this investment, it leads us right to the central conflict of our story. I mean, with $1 billion flooding into a sector, you'd expect to see some spectacular wins on the other side, right? Some huge exits. Well, this is where the mystery really starts to deepen.
Yeah, I mean, with all this cash pouring in, where are the big wins? This is the billion-dollar question that, believe me, everyone in the industry is talking about. If the investment side is on fire, where are the blockbuster exits? Where's the proof that all these huge bets are actually paying off?
And this isn't just us asking, You've got industry insiders like Brian Iverson from Cimbria Capital who are openly skeptical. He basically says that those massive 10 times your money returns that VCs promise their investors, they just don't exist in this sector. He's literally challenging anyone to prove him wrong.
And if you need more proof of the skepticism, get this number, 84%. A staggering 84% of investors who've put money into water tech have only ever made one investment. They place a bet, and then they don't come back for a second one. That pattern? Well, it suggests there's a perceived risk or maybe a lack of returns that's really keeping people on the sidelines.
But is that the whole story? Are those big returns really just a myth? We decided to do some digging, open up the old case files and see if we could find any hard evidence of those legendary high multiple exits.
And you know what? We found some. Case File 1, NJ Water Technologies. It was acquired by the chemical giant BASF, and it delivered about a 5.3x return for its investors. Not bad. Case File 2, Nano H2O. It got bought by LG Chem, and that resulted in roughly a 6x return on their early seed money. And then, of course, there's the big one, Gradient, the sector's very first unicorn. Now it hasn't exited yet, so there's no cash in hand, but $1 billion valuation. That definitely points to a massive potential payday down the road.
So what does all this tell us? What's the takeaway here? It's pretty clear that those spectacular, home-run, venture-style returns, they're definitely not common. They are rare. But, and this is the really critical part, they are not impossible. The historical record proves it can be done.
All right, so we've seen the absolute boom in investment, and we've confronted this exit enigma. I think it's time to deliver the verdict. Bubble or the beginning of something much bigger?
Well, according to Tom Ferguson, remember him from Burnt Island Ventures, one of the most active specialists out there? He says this is not a bubble. Instead, he argues we're seeing the very beginning of an S-curve. You know that classic pattern, right? A long period of kind of slow growth and then, boom, a sudden, explosive takeoff.
Okay, so what does that S-curve actually look like for water tech? Well, right now, in 2024, we're in that record investment wave. Experts think next year, 2025, we might see some healthy spin-offs or strategic sales. But the real action, the big predicted exit wave, that's expected to really get going around 2027 or 2028.
And you might be asking, why then? What's the trigger? It all comes down to one thing. Big global corporations are finally waking up to their water risk. I'm talking about everyone, from data centers to food and beverage companies. These major industries are realizing they have to secure their water future, and that makes them the new, highly motivated buyers for all this cool, innovative water tech.
So in the end, it really doesn't look like we're in a bubble. It's more like we're watching pressure build up behind a giant dam. The capital is there, the technology is finally maturing, and now the big buyers are starting to arrive. So the real question isn't if the dam is going to break, it's when.